This should be played at high volume.
Welcome to Outta Pocket. Here's your host, Michael Davis.
It's time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, joined by Shawn Lucas, joined by Carsen Williams, and hopefully as Carsenites run wild in the comment section, just like Hulkamania, my wrestling fans get that reference, and then produced by the one and only Desmond Johnson, who does a lot of stuff. You see his face everywhere. And now the old sayings, no longer true. People used to say, oh, you have the face for radio. Well, radio is now being re-envisioned by the YouTube channel. So you can subscribe to the Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel, get all our content. We've been on air about a month now without a Pocket's return. And we have a full slate for you today because it is NBA playoff time. All right. And one thing I do want to touch on is there are a lot of powerhouses in the play-in tournament. We've seen some people rise up their conference standings, some new contenders, new teams. We'll talk about that a little later on in the show. But as it stands right now, the play-in teams, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat, are battling for the 7th seed. And then the winner of the Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks game will play the loser of the 76ers Heat for that final Eastern Conference spot. For the Western Conference, we have the Pelicans versus the Lakers. And then the loser of that will play the winner of the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. There's a lot of big teams, Warriors, Lakers, Heat, 76ers, a lot of big names with Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry in the play-in tournament. So it's going to be an exciting time. So I wanted to ask you guys, when you look at these 8 teams, we saw the Miami Heat make a run last year to the NBA Finals. Of these 8 teams, who do you think has the best chance to duplicate that success from last year and make a run deep in the playoffs? Shawn, welcome to the show. I'll start with you.
Well, Mike, it goes back to the team you just mentioned who did it last year. Jimmy B, playoff Jimmy. It's that time. It's the time of the year where Jimmy and the Heat start cooking. They rested some guys the other day. With the last game of the season, they had to play the Raptors, so they rested Duncan Robinson. I think they rested about 2 more guys on the team. But they rested Terry Rozier. But this is when we hear about Jimmy Butler and when he makes those runs. To me, he's a dangerous team on the East. On the West side, it's kind of hard because you got the Lakers. I'm a Lakers fan, but I like Jimmy B. I'm a Lakers fan. But right now, I think the most dangerous team at all is Jimmy Butler because he can pick his poison. Either he can win and go, or either he can lose and get another opportunity to get in there.
Yep. And Carsen, your team is not in the play-in. I got a couple Lakers guys, and I'm a Heat guy. But your Cavaliers aren't in the play-in team. When you look at these play-in teams, are there any ones that scare you meeting up later in the playoffs?
Yeah, there are 2. I would probably pick the Lakers to go the farthest, just because the top teams out east are kind of looking like, or at least the top team, which is the Boston Celtics, is kind of looking invincible. I think they're just going to steamroll through the East. The Heat, to me, they had to shoot like 45% from 3 in multiple playoff series last year, and that's just not really all that replicable. I do trust Jimmy Butler, and I trust Bam Adebayo as one of the best defenders on earth, but I just don't think that they can reach that shooting ceiling that they did last year. That being said, if I'm the Cavs, I do not want to match up against them. I think that we'll get bullied. I think Jimmy Butler will go off. I think Bam Adebayo will go off. If we match up with the Heat in the second round, we're probably going to lose, even though we won't. I mean, they're going to be playing the Celtics. So, they're going to lose. Sorry, Mike. The Lakers, to me, the Lakers and the 76ers are the 2 most terrifying teams in the play-in, and I jotted a couple numbers down here. Joel Embiid, post-injury, is 39-5 with 2.6 stocks per game on 51, 48, and 88 shooting splits. And I will say those are kind of limited numbers because he's taken 27 threes, but 48% on him is pretty crazy. I don't know how much I trust him in the playoffs. I think that he can get a little volatile. His shots doesn't fall as much, and he's not going to get to the free throw line at the same rate. And they're going to start doubling him, and I don't know if he's enough of a playmaker to do that. The Lakers just have that formula of two top 10 players on earth with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is, in my opinion, the best defender on earth. And LeBron James has been shooting 41% from three over the entire season. And that is the scariest thing. I think that's the scariest thing in the playoffs other than Jokic. And they're going to be facing the Thunder in the first round if they win. And I think that's a series they can win. I think they're going to bully the Thunder. Just in terms of physicality, the Thunder don't have anybody that can – I love Chet, but Chet is not going to stop Anthony Davis. And then nobody's going to stop LeBron. And we know LeBron is going to kick it up a notch from regular season like he always does. He had a poor postseason last season, but that's 1 in 20 years, So I am scared of the Lakers if I'm the top teams in the West.
Des, you've been following the Lakers a lot. What do you think about this team and their chances in the play-in?
I took the question differently. You posed it as most dangerous play-in team, so I looked at which one of the play-in teams is most likely to get out of the play-in tournament, as opposed to going deep in the playoffs. Because I don't know if any of these teams will. The Lakers are probably best equipped to go further than the play-in tournament, but I'm actually going to choose the Golden State Warriors in terms of the most dangerous team, and it's because of the format of the play-in. It's not a best of 5 or best of 7. It's a one game, and a one game, if I've got Steph Curry on my side and whoever on the other, I'm probably going to bet on Steph Curry. Plus, the Golden State Warriors, while they did come in 10th in the West, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and that's got to mean something. They're going to be on the road. And on the road, they're a 500 team for the most part. Well, they were. Actually, they've kind of reverted that back. They're 25-16 away from home, and actually 21-20 at home. So I'm going to go with the Warriors on this. Now, that's a very combustible group with Draymond and folks there, and you don't know which Klay Thompson you're going to get and everything else. But again, the question was, who's the most dangerous team? Who's the team I'm scared of the most? Like out of these 8 teams. The one team I feel like that has the most potential to just get hot, like in the middle of a game, is Golden State. Golden State's the one where I'm like, okay, could Golden State beat the Kings, which is one of the youngest teams in the league, and then defeat either the Pelicans or the Lakers? The Pelicans are 5-5 in their last 10 games to close out the season. They just lost to the Lakers on Sunday. Anthony Davis hobbled off the court. I think he came back on. He's saying he's going to play in the play-in, but you know how that goes. And then in the case of LeBron, we kind of forget last year, when he gave us that 40-point game or whatever, he did it in spurts. It wasn't a complete game. Like, he started out really hot and then he trailed off. And I think that's a matter of age. He's 38 years old, 39 years old. So, I mean, the man can only do so much. He's human. And it really should be 80's team at this point, and it still feels like it's LeBron's team. And for whatever reason, they weren't using Rui Hachimura throughout the year until the very end, which I don't understand. He was kind of the big spark to turn him around last year. With the Lakers, it's all about rotations and what Darvin Ham does. So I'll go back to the Warriors landing on them. I don't trust any of the 4 teams in the East to get out. I would say the 76ers, but Joel Embiid, he may have came back too fast. Don't know what's up with the Heat. The Bulls and Hawks feel like they're just there by invite only. Like, they're just there because they're supposed to be teams. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like they're going to do anything special. I almost feel like I wish they could eliminate themselves when they play each other, but it's all over in the West, and I'm going to pick the Warriors as the most dangerous play-in team as it stands today.
Des, I think. Oh,
go ahead, Carson.
I think you kind of laid it out for yourself, Des. The Warriors have to win 2 games. They're going to have to win their first game, and then they're going to have to beat the loser of the 7 and 8 seed. If they're playing the Pelicans, I don't trust them to win that game. If they're playing the Lakers,
Pelicans that makes you feel like they're overwhelmingly better than Golden State in a one-game situation.
Well, I don't think they're overwhelmingly better, but I do think they have that physicality edge with Zion and Brandon Ingram is long and lanky, and he's a good defender. And I just think that they have have more surrounding pieces, where as in Golden State, it's really like you're relying on Steph Curry to get you there, and then also, I don't know if, like, even if they win the first game, I don't trust the supporting cast to show up for the second one too. It feels to me like Curry is going to have to will them to one of these victories.
Well, he's going to need Clay. Like, Steph can't do it by himself.
Yeah.
Clay's going to have to give him 20-25, and Dre's got to play the way Draymond Green plays in postseason. But it's not going to be a one-man effort. But if I had to have one dude that, like, in the fourth quarter in a playing situation, I'm looking at it like it's the NCAA tournament, pretty much. Like, they got to win 2 games, right, in like 4 days, 5 days. Similar thing. Like, they got to win. Was it tonight, tomorrow, and then they got to win later on in the week just to get into the tournament. So the Warriors have been in playoff mode for the past month. Like, they've had to be in playoff mode just to get in. So that plus the experience that they have over the Pelicans, I'm not even sure. Will this be Zion's first playoff?
I think he made the play-in one time.
He made the play-in last season.
But I think he lost. I don't think he's been actually in the playoffs.
Did he play?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, so he wasn't even active. So this is gonna be his first playoff season. And the Pelicans themselves, they're relatively young when it comes to playoff experience. So that goes a long way too in these situations. We saw it last year with the Warriors and the Kings. So I'm still sticking with the Warriors as the most dangerous coming out of the play-in. Now, the most dangerous in the whole field is a whole other question.
If I'm the Lakers, I'm going to throw this game. I'm gonna throw this game against the Pelicans. I don't want Denver. I'd rather go to OKC. I'm a load management. I'm gonna say load management night, guys. We'll play the winner of the winner of the Kings and Golden State, and let's go to OKC.
We can beat them. See, that's the problem.
Well, OKC's number one.
I feel like the Lakers actually gave Denver their biggest shot last year in the playoffs because they had somebody that could match up with Jokic and AD. So if I'm the Lakers, I'm like, look, I'd rather get the rest. I'd rather go ahead and beat the Pelicans now and have to play for the rest of the week, and we'll just figure out the Nuggets when we run across them, next week or whatever. But if you do it that way and you throw it into the Pelicans, now you're in a 1-game situation against Steph Curry probably, and I'm not sure if I like that. I don't know if I like that at all. So.
and it's so interesting because we have all this star power in the play-in tournament on both sides. And Des, you mentioned the hot streaks. The Lakers have won 7 of their last 10. The Warriors have won 8 of their last 10. When it comes to the East, the Sixers have won 8 of their last 10. Miami, they're 7 of their last 10. But the big thing here is only one of these teams have done it. Only one of these teams have won the play-in and actually won a playoff series, and it's the Miami Heat. And they did so all the way to the NBA Finals before they met Nikola Jokic and the unstoppable Denver Nuggets.
I thought the Lakers did it last year. Weren't the Lakers in the play-in last year?
Well, Miami was the first, technically, by a day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, by a day.
But Miami did.
Nice. Good job, Miami.
Wow.
We count hours.
Hey, Miami, first play-in team to make the NBA Finals. The Lakers didn't do that. I mean, they have the recipe. They brought in a lot of their team from last year. You have Jimmy Butler, you have Bam Adebayo, you have Tyler Hero. Duncan Robinson's now a complete player. Rather than just being a guy who would shoot threes, he can actually drive to the basket, kick it out to somebody. He's really improved his game. You add in Terry Rozier, who's starting to get acclimated. And the whole thing with Miami is, I wrote about this for Fans First Sports Network. They haven't been healthy all year. A lot of their guys have, been resting. That's what happens when you're playing, 2 finals in 4 seasons. You're going to have a lot of your aging guys rest, get hurt. You're more prone to injuries. But if Miami did it last year, I have full confidence they can do it yet this year. And especially, Shawn was talking about the Lakers maybe want to avoid the Denver Nuggets in the, first round. Miami beat Boston. Miami beat Milwaukee last year in series. So they're not afraid of anybody.
That's not the
completely
same teams,
different
though.
teams.
Yeah, they're not the same.
Different teams.
Milwaukee didn't have what's his name? Dame Lillard. And Boston didn't have Porzingis. They're not even they're not even remotely close to the same teams they were last year. I get it, you're a Miami Heat fan, you want to urge them on and get them through the play-in and all that stuff. But they've been doing this despite the odds, as opposed to them supposed to be doing it. Like Miami's not supposed to have been there, like both times, and somehow they're able to do it. I just find it hard to believe they're gonna be able to do this here. Now, again, this play-in in the East, 76ers, Embiid is hurt. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be in the play-in. They were the number 2 seed for most of the year until he got hurt. The Bulls and Hawks, like I said, they're there because they need 2 more teams to round out 10. Like they're not gonna. Neither one of those are gonna make any noise. So yeah, the Heat will get out of the play-in probably. But after that,
you got the Knicks.
They'll be up against either Boston or the Knicks. I think the Knicks match up with the Heat very well.
They can beat the Knicks.
Brunson. I mean, the heater he's been on recently, and then you have Hartenstein and Mitchell who can match up with Bam Adebayo physically, at least not in terms of skill or defensive impact, but physically they can match up. Well, sure, but Jalen Brunson has been, I mean, over the past month, he's been probably a top 5 player in the league, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Julius Randle being out hurts them, but not that bad. And OG Anunoby is like a premier defender. So, you know, I put him on Jimmy, and I don't think he's going to stop playoff Jimmy, but he's well equipped to, you know? So the Miami Heat have a much harder path than they did last year.
Well, if Spo can will them on, it would be quite a treat for this Heat fan. But I'm not saying that just because I'm a Miami fan. But you know, Jimmy Butler needs his title. Jimmy Butler needs his championship. He's been to the finals twice and came away empty-handed, even though both times they were like, didn't expect Miami to get there. So that begs a question, whether it's an NBA player add into their trophy room or an NBA player getting there first, what player needs a title more this postseason, Shawn?
I got to rank 3 ways. I'm going to go with the schematical way first. The first one of these ones, Joel Embiid. Philly fan. I'm a Philly Eagles fan. We know Philadelphia fans. If you're not delivering, they haven't been able to get past the second round the past 2-3 seasons. If you're not getting to the finals, getting to a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, then the fans will turn on you. He needs it the most. But if you ask me in my heart of hearts, it's Jimmy B. I want Jimmy B to get a ring. I'm a Jimmy B guy. I like Jimmy B. I've been liking him since he was playing with Chicago, watching him on WGN. I like Jimmy Butler. I like him at Marquette. I feel like everybody wants him to get a ring because he's been getting there and just coming up short. Came up short in the bubble tournament, came up short last year against Denver. But in my ranking system is Embiid, Jason Tatum, because Boston feel like this team should have already won one. So those are the 2, if you look at it schematically, needed. But in my heart of hearts, it's Jimmy B.
Yeah. Shout out WGN reference right there. That was a throwback. Carsen, who do you think needs a title more?
Now, is this in the whole playoffs or just the play-in?
This is the whole playoffs.
It's got to be Jason Tatum. I mean, they lost to the Heat last year when they should have won. They lost to the Golden State Warriors when everybody thought they should have won. And now they have a stacked team. And Celtics fans have been acting like Jason Tatum is a top 3 player on earth and should win MVP, which he's not. But he needs this title, because if he doesn't, then narratively it is Jason Tatum breakdown. Jason Tatum can't produce in the playoffs. Jason Tatum can't do this. Jason Tatum can't do that. And I don't fully agree with it, but I mean, he's got this overwhelming roster, this easy path to the finals. Nobody should be able to hang with him. Just defensively, they are incredible. Offensively, they have the pieces. They have the depth. I mean, they're 1 through 5. Their 5 would be like a number 2 on most teams. So it's got to be Jason Tatum, and then Joel Embiid afterwards. But I think he might get a little bit of a pass this year just because he had an injury. So the answer to me is Jason Tatum.
And Embiid's already guys MVP. Des, when you look at this field, I mean, and we talked about LeBron's legacy either a week or 2 ago. Like, who do you think needs this title more?
That's where I went. I noticed both of you guys went to guys that haven't won a title yet. I went the other end of the spectrum to guys that have something more to prove legacy-wise, and I landed on KD and I landed on LeBron. With KD, he needs a title away from Golden State to cement his legacy as a top 20 all-time player, because the sentiment is that he basically bandwagon to final MVPs and 2 rings, pretty much by joining a world champion Golden State Warriors team. That perception's never going to go away. I think he thought it would eventually over time, but it hasn't. And Father Time is starting to catch up to both of these guys, and they're running out of road. So the Suns may be the end of the big threes going forward with this experiment they got with him and Beal. Who's the other guy?
Devin Booker.
And it just seems like they can't get all 3 on the floor at the same time. They're all in their 30s. Well, Booker's the youngest, but the other 2 in their 30s. KD needs to – he's bounced around so much since he left Golden State that to me it's kind of – he's turned into like a Shaq type of career where he's bounced around to so many teams. It almost tarnishes what he did in the part of the career when he was in his prime. So KD is one. And then it's LeBron, because LeBron needs another title in order to get to the Magic Kobe level of my greatest players of all time. I can't put him past Magic and Kobe with 4 rings when both Magic and Kobe have 5, and they both did it all with the Lakers. And you went to the Lakers to become a Laker legend, and you've got 1 title there. Like, you're not even top 5 Laker legend at this point. How can I make you the greatest of all time? Like, he needs 5 just to legitimately get in the conversation with Jordan, because he's in the conversation, but he's in the conversation with other people. For it to be Jordan versus LeBron, in my opinion, he needs another title before he retires to get to 5, because 4 is not enough. It's not enough for what we've seen. If you watch Jordan with your own eyes, you know you're not seeing the same thing. You're seeing greatness, but it's 2 different levels of greatness. And like, for LeBron to cement his argument that he deserves to be considered the GOAT, he's got to win a ring. It's the same kind of argument with I saw last week, people arguing about Caitlin Clark, and is she the greatest college basketball player of all time? And a lot of college women basketball players or former players are saying no, because she didn't win a ring. Like, you can't possibly be it with no ring. And that's kind of, well, LeBron, you can't possibly be the greatest if you didn't win more than whoever they considered greater before you. Like, especially playing more years. He's in year 20 or 21 or whatever it is, and he's dropping almost quadruple doubles or whatever on Sunday afternoons. Like, he still has the juice. So there's no excuse, really. It's KD or LeBron for me.
And it's interesting, Shawn and Carsen went the who hasn't won a ring yet. Des went the LeBron route, which I kind of sense
KD.
that. Yeah, and KD. I'm gonna go James Harden.
I had him on my list.
James Harden has been a part of big threes like the one in OKC where they couldn't get the job done against Miami. He's been a part of Houston, been a part of Philadelphia, Brooklyn, and he's formed these super teams everywhere and no results, like absolutely nothing. And he's hurt his reputation as a team player because he's not a team player. Now, I saw glimpses of something when it came to the Clippers, when Harden was on the floor, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. And it looks like there could be something there. They match up against, I believe, Dallas in the first round. So that's a winnable series for either one. Kyrie Irving versus James Harden in the first round is absolutely wild to me. Those are 2 guys I wanted as far away from South Beach as possible. And thankfully, they didn't end up in Miami. But James Harden could really rewrite his legacy if he was able to win a title. And I don't real quick, I don't think it would change KD, because KD needed to go to Phoenix where he's surrounded with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker.
But they haven't won a title. They haven't won anything. Like, that's the difference. Like, when he went to Golden State, they had already won a title. 2 titles, if I'm not mistaken. So they were already champions. And they had a team with 73 wins. Like, they had already established themselves as the team to beat. Bradley Beal and Devin Booker haven't won anything. I know Booker went to the NBA Finals a couple years ago with the Suns, but they haven't won anything. So it's a little bit of a different thing. That's why he went there, was to prove that he could take a team that hadn't won anything and actually, win something on their own merits as opposed to on their coattails or whatnot. With James Harden, I kind of like nobody expects him to do anything at this point, do they? Like, is this expectations really as high as they were?
Team killer.
That was my thing, is that he's what, number 3 on that team. His legacy, I feel like, is cemented as he's not a playoff riser and he's not really a team player. And even if they win, it's not gonna be him. Like, he's not the reason. It would be Kawhi going nuclear and Paul George playing like he's been playing. I like the KD point a lot. And I didn't even think about him, and I would probably like to move him to my number 2 spot, just because KD is a top 20 player of all time already. And I don't really think that's super arguable. You're not having him top 20 all time.
Who?
KD.
Not at the moment, no.
He got that stain on him from
that's
joining the
crazy.
super team.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't get over that.
Yeah.
But we can't act like he's not a playoff riser. Like, he was a half inch away from beating the Bucks, who went on to win the championships. Like,
that don't count. He lost.
Kevin
it don't matter if he's close. Like,
yeah, but that's what this is my problem with ring culture, is that we look at a team and we take that team's best player and we say if they don't get to the finals, it's on him. And that is just not how it works. It's so much more of a okay, well, she's wrong. I mean, it's so much more. It's the team. It really is, you know.
Not in the NBA. In the NBA, you literally can have one star player that can change the fortunes of an entire team. It's the only team sport really where one player can change the fortunes of the entire team. That's the burden of being a superstar. Like, it's not easy. That you're talking about ring culture. I don't like the culture where it's become acceptable to accept less on the same level of greatness.
But
I don't like that.
That's not what I'm arguing. The rings are obviously the end all. That's what everybody's working for. But if you have, like, are we gonna put it on LeBron for not beating the Spurs in 2009 with the team around him? Are we putting that on LeBron? Because if so, then we're not having a real conversation. We're not having a conversation about.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, you can't give him credit for dragging through the entire Eastern Conference and then not give him credit for when they lost.
Right.
Like,
I mean, you look at the team in 2009. If you got Eric Snow beside you, LeBron's got to take that shot.
Yeah,
and no doubt on Eric Snow, he's a great player. Was a great player, but that team was a poor man's team. It was
That's
LeBron.
exactly the point.
Yeah.
It's you're facing an overwhelming talent deficit. I don't care how great one player is, just like you were saying with Steph Curry. I don't care how great.
Wait, so we're supposed to give him a pass? We're supposed to give him a pass for losing to the Spurs?
We're not. No, we are not supposed to give him a pass.
So where are you going then? Because it sounds like you're saying you're trying to give them some sort of leeway because the Spurs had so much more talent. But that's not anybody's fault. I mean, that's just the way the dice rolled. Like, you got to take the good.
That's exactly right. Well, yeah, of course, but I'm saying that loss is not like harming his legacy. The 2011 loss to the Mavericks is harming his legacy because he broke down and they should have won that series. But 2009 against the Spurs, no.
Any loss in the finals is going to harm his legacy if he's saying he's the GOAT. Like, it just will. Like, hell, Magic's not the GOAT because he's 5-4 in the finals. Like, I mean, there's levels to this. Like, you can't just brush away the losses and give excuses for why they lost and then try to prop the guy up off of the wins that he had when the wins don't even equal the total amount of the guys he's chasing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to push LeBron up higher because for you guys, he's the greatest basketball player you've ever seen, pretty much. In your own eyes.
Not me. Don't add me in that conversation.
And I have him top 3, top 4. He swirls around in there with Jordan and Kobe and Magic. And
well, what about Bill Russell then, right?
What was that?
Bill Russell, because we're talking about ring cultures, right? Who won the most?
He's in my top 10.
Is he in your top 1 though? Because he's got the most rings.
But that's not my only factor. And I've always said that rings aren't the only factor, but they're a big factor. Like, you can't just erase them out of the equation, but you can't make the equation without the rings. Is pretty much what I'm saying. You got to have some rings in order to.
I agree.
It, you know.
Well, that's what hurts Chris Paul. You know, probably arguably one of the greatest point guards. He's on my list. I know we got Chase him, but he's on my list.
John Stockton, same way.
John Stockton, Karl Malone. They don't have a ring.
Charles Barkley,
don't have a ring. Charles Barkley. Those guys on my list, if they would have got that one ring, it was solidified. Look at Gary Payton. He went to Miami, got that ring. Now arguably considered one of the greatest point guards ever played in the NBA for his defense and his offense from Seattle till when he bounced around.
It just seems like you guys are completely like throwing away circumstances. Like, they don't matter when circumstances matter.
No,
like I think dragging a absolutely awful roster to the NBA Finals and then losing to an overwhelmingly talented team is far more impressive than just riding other people's coattails to the finals and then beating a team that's not as good as you. And I'm not saying that Michael Jordan is. I'm not on the Scottie Pippen carried Michael Jordan train. I am not saying that.
Are you saying that it's more impressive LeBron in 09 drugged the Cavaliers to the finals and lost to the Spurs than Kevin Durant going to Golden State and winning an MVP in the finals and winning the finals over LeBron?
Yeah, much more impressive. Yes.
I don't understand that logic. It's impressive. He went through 3 rounds of the Eastern Conference with basically a YMCA team, and then got to the finals to a Spurs team that was a dynasty. Everyone knew they were going to lose. It was his first time at the finals. He was like 21 or whatever. So I mean, it's still not his legacy. Like, it's still part of his overall. You can't whitewash the stuff that don't look good. It's pretty much what me and Shawn are trying to say anyway. You can't just erase the stuff that kind of dings his legacy in order to prop his legacy. That's the thing that bothers me the most with the conversation, because with Jordan, we never had to do that. We understood he didn't make the playoffs, or he didn't have a winning record the first couple of years. We understood he lost his last 2 years with the Wizards. That didn't affect his greatness. Like, his greatness was contained in that period of time when he was the best player in the league, and everybody knew it.
6 years,
including the players. It was long enough, like
6 years.
From about 87
sure, but he also lost
99.
9 times in the first round without Scottie Pippen. And I am not saying Scottie Pippen carried Michael Jordan. I'm just saying we have these glasses on when it comes to Michael Jordan.
You could
where we look at 6 years.
You know?
We look at 6 years, and he was by far the greatest. I mean, nobody compared to him at that time. But we also don't think about like we look at finals losses, but what about first round losses? What about second round losses? What about conference losses? But the only thing that matters is the finals. I don't understand the logic how a finals loss weighs so much more than a first round exit or not making the playoffs when
it's the finals. It's the finals, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's way more important. I would much rather lose in the first round than in the finals.
That's the craziest thing to me.
It's almost like a participation trophy. Like, you want them to get participation trophies for getting there. You want LeBron to get credit for being in the playoffs, like 18 years or whatever it ends up being, but not get credit or not get blamed for some of the final losses he's had. I mean, he's had 6, man. He's had 6 finals losses. Like, and I love LeBron. I love LeBron James. I followed him for 20 years. But it's not the same thing. That's what we were talking about in terms of not understanding why his losses don't count as much in the finals as everybody else.
They matter more. They matter more than everybody else's.
Well, I'm saying people are trying to make them count less in order to make him still be at that level they want him at, that they put him at. That I don't know if he's actually got to yet, which is our first question. He needs another title.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is Jordan went 6-0 in the NBA Finals. LeBron didn't have that aspect. LeBron's lost in the finals more than he's won, and that can harm somebody's legacy. I know we went a couple minutes over today, but we get talking about sports, and you guys understand. You're talking to your buddies about sports, and you're like, man, I never want this conversation to end, but we all have to get back to work. You guys can catch all of our Out of Pocket episodes on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel, so subscribe. If you're watching with us the first time, thank you so much. This will be available on demand if you tuned in during the episode, so you can go back on the YouTube channel and watch that. But Out of Pocket with Michael Davis is going to be back tomorrow live, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to continue the basketball conversation. Shelby, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comment as well. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. on Tobacco Road Sports Radio with Out of Pocket with Michael Davis.